Good day, everyone, and it's a pleasure to have you join us. Can a government truly correct the mistakes of previous administrations years after they happened? And when workers lose their jobs through no fault of their own, does the responsibility end with the government that dismissed them? Or does it belong to every administration that follows? Those are the questions Governor Alex Otti appears determined to answer after announcing that civil servants disengaged from the Abia State Public Service many years ago will receive their outstanding entitlements once verification is completed. For thousands of affected workers who have waited for more than a decade, the announcement represents more than a financial commitment. It is a promise that the state has not forgotten them. Speaking during a grand civic reception organized in his honor by Ndi Imo in Abia at Obonnaya Onu Polytechnic in Aba, Governor Otti responded to appeals seeking the reinstatement of workers who were disengaged between 2011 and 2012, rather than making promises he believed could not be fulfilled. The governor explained that many of those affected had now exceeded the age required for active service. According to him, returning them to the government employment would no longer be practical. Instead, he directed that their outstanding benefits be calculated and paid once the verification exercise is completed. The governor's explanation reflected what he described as a realistic approach to resolving a long-standing issue. According to Otti, some of the affected workers had been out of service for 15, 16, or even 17 years. During that period, many had reached retirement age or moved beyond the stage where returning to active public service would be possible. For that reason, he argued that paying their full entitlements would be a more meaningful solution than making symbolic promises that could never be implemented. His message to those still awaiting their benefits was clear: complete the verification process, and the government will process what is owned. But beyond the issue of compensation, Governor Otis used the occasion to present a broader vision of governance built around inclusion rather than division. He insisted that Abia State, under his administration, does not discriminate based on state of origin. According to him, government employment, particularly in critical sectors such as healthcare and education, is based strictly on competence. What matters, he said, is not where an applicant comes from, but what knowledge, skills, and value that individual brings to public service. It was a statement aimed at reinforcing his administration's commitment to merit over identity. Perhaps the most striking part of his address came when he challenged the traditional idea of indigenship. Governor Otti argued that the distinction between Abia and Imo should not become a barrier to equal opportunity. According to him, many families of Imo origin have lived in Abia for generations, making any attempt to describe them as outsiders both inaccurate and unfair. He maintained that anyone who lives, works, and contributes to the development of Abia should enjoy the same opportunities and privileges as every other resident. It was a message designed to promote unity at a time when identity politics continues to influence public life across Nigeria. The governor went even further by declaring that people whose grandparents settled in Abia, whose parents were born there, and who themselves have spent their entire lives in the state should naturally be regarded as Abians. In his view, citizens should reflect genuine belonging and contribution rather than narrow historical classifications. Such remarks drew applause from members of Ndi Imo in Abia, who organized the civic reception to celebrate what they described as Governor Otti's inclusive style of leadership. Governor Otti also assured residents of Imo extraction living in Abia that they would continue to enjoy safety, fairness, and equal participation in the affairs of the state. According to him, his administration remains committed to fostering peaceful coexistence among all communities regardless of ethnic background. He argued that sustainable development becomes easier when governments unite people around shared aspirations instead of allowing differences in origin to become sources of division. His remarks reinforced the administration's broader message that Abia belongs to everyone willing to contribute positively to their progress. The event also became an opportunity for several prominent figures to publicly commend Governor Otti's performance. Imo State's Governor, Hope Uzodinma, represented by his Special Advisor on Political Matters, Chief Perry Okpara, praised the governor for what he described as visible achievements in office. According to the message delivered on Uzodinma's behalf, the large turnout at the civic reception reflected growing public confidence in Otti's administration. He encouraged the governor to continue pursuing people-centered policies while assuring him of the continued cooperation of Imo indigents residing in Abia. Traditional rulers and community leaders also offered strong endorsements of the administration. Representatives of the Southeast Council of Traditional Rulers described Governor Otti as one of Nigeria's best-performing governors, pointing to ongoing improvements in infrastructure and investment. Other speakers highlighted developments in education, healthcare, electricity, transportation, and urban renewal, arguing that Abia has experienced significant transformation over the past 3 years. While such assessments remain matters of political opinion, they form a central part of the goodwill messages delivered during the event. As the ceremony concluded, the governor reminded supporters that the achievements recorded so far represents only the beginning of what he hopes to accomplish. Yet, many of the disengaged workers waiting for long overdue benefits, the most important promise was not about future projects, but about addressing unfinished business from the past. Whether the verification process proceeds smoothly and payments are delivered as promised will now become the true test of the administration's commitment. For those who have waited more than a decade for justice, actions, not announcements, will ultimately determine whether this promise becomes a turning point or simply another political pledge. If you find this report insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I am Cassie Tony, and many thanks for watching.